Welcome to That's My Opinion Pod. I'm your host, Fado Iglesias. Very excited to do a solo episode this week. Just kind of tough with Memorial Day weekend. It's also a bank holiday here in the UK. And so it's just difficult. People are traveling, picking up what times we can do things. It's always a little complicated. So I decided it would just be best to do a solo episode for you guys this week. A great week in Bravo could be better. It's definitely going to keep getting better because we have Summer House finale next week. Then we'll have the reunion. Then we have Real House of New Jersey picking up. Then we have Dubai coming in. Then I think we have Below Deck finale, which looks nuts. I'm excited about that one. Then we have part 3 of the Vanderpump reunion. We have the Valley continuing to do its thing. So it's looking good for us Bravo fans. So the way this episode is going to go, we're going to start with Vanderpump part 2 of the reunion. Definitely better than part 1, I thought. Then we'll hop over to the Valley. These men need clinical help. They need to go to a group therapy session. ASAP. ASAP. Except Jason. Jason can stay home. Then we'll get into Summer House. That was a decent episode this week. The finale will be fucking crazy. The finale is going to be nuts. I'm so excited. And then we'll end with the Real Housewives of New Jersey, which is picking up pace, picking up fast. All right. Without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, Vanderpump, part 2 of the reunion. I thought much better than part 1. Still equally frustrating, but that was to be expected, right? I think that's just the theme of the season. Now, let's start with Lala talking about her boundaries and how they're different than the boundaries Ariana has set up, and said it's different because she is in a legal battle over custody of her child. So she can't have Randall hanging out with anyone in the group. Now, there's part of me that gets, okay, no, I understand why you put those boundaries. I understand why they were so intense for you, is because, listen, someone who's worked in family law, you don't know what information Randall could be trying to get from Schwartz. And, I get it that it's uncomfortable. But then the part that I think gets everyone, including Ariana, is her lack of being able to understand why Ariana has put boundaries up. And Lala brought up, this custody battle, this legal issue, the fighting for her kid, blah, blah, blah. But Ariana and Sandoval are in several legal battles, as far as I'm concerned. And so that could be a potential issue. Obviously, who's going to deny that it's very different to go through a custody battle versus other legal battles, obviously. But still, legally, she could be like, we are in a couple different lawsuits right now. I don't feel comfortable with you guys talking to him, hanging out with him, me giving you guys information. I don't know if you're going to spill that information to him when we talk about certain things. So, I just don't feel comfortable with the overlap. That could be a rhetoric that's being said. And it could involve the legal stuff as well. So, but I thought Ariana handled herself so well. She's handled herself so well throughout the entire season and throughout part 1 of the reunion as well. And the way she just was able, you can tell in the tone of voice she was using towards Lala that it was like, hey, I'm not trying to fight with you. I don't want to fight with you. I just want you to hear me. And she was using that please listen voice. And Lala was just could not put her swords down, just could not physically do it, which is pretty sad to watch. But, what are you going to do? Lala is just being Lala. And then, speaking of Lala, one of the main things that has really struck me throughout part 2 of the reunion is how she breaks fourth wall. Now, I love breaking fourth wall. It's one of my favorite things when they do it. But the way she's doing it is not what I want. It's not a vibe. It's so odd because she's like, talking about almost her strategy on the show and saying, and like that whole issue that she brought up with Ariana being like, well, XYZ happened with Charlie and like you didn't confront her or say anything or have my back. And Ariana's like, we fully had this conversation and I fully apologize to you. And Lala was like, well, it didn't get shown, so let's talk about it. Ariana was like, literally, what's happening? I feel like in every sentence, she's bringing up the show. She's bringing up filming. She's bringing up just every aspect of it. I mean, there was a point where Lala was answering a question that Andy asked, and Ariana, like, interjected and was trying to, like, explain something. And Lala goes, Andy was asking me a question. You've been doing this for a long time. You know how it works. It's just, it's, it's intense. It's weird. It's coming across, like, very icky. It's not a fun fourth wall breaking. It's an icky fourth wall breaking. So, I mean, that's my take on it. I think I've seen a few things online about it as well. Just like how exhausting it is. And then like her constantly bringing up her child and that she's a mother. And I understand that's such an important part of her identity and being alone is a lot, having kids is a lot, but she weaponizes it rather than talks about it a lot. Because if she talks about it a lot, it's like, whatever. It's like just like the weaponizing of it is a lot. And I even think, I don't know if this is a preview for next reunion or this happened on part 2, but there was a point where I think it's next week, but Sheena's crying and she's like, I didn't want you to like keep hating him because then I was hating him and like my child would see me crying and losing it. And like as a mother, I needed to move past this anger. It's like, fuck? Like what? Like literally what the fuck? I can tell you right now, when I was a child, if my mom was beefing with her friends or having issues at work or crying about shit, like, or being angry or whatever, I didn't fucking know shit about it. She's 2 years old. You know what I mean? Figure it out. Go to therapy. You know? God, like, why is your kid even seeing that shit anyways? Like, I don't know. Not that I should be giving a parenting class, but maybe like they should go to one if they can't keep their fucking personal issues and drama away from their kid. And don't get me wrong, I understand it's at such a like big scale because they're on a TV show and social media and the way that impacts like everything and their public figures, obviously. But that's not the way Sheena was talking about it. Sheena was very much like, in my home, my child is seeing me upset. Like, okay, then like don't be upset in front of your kid. I don't know. I'm being a hater. Sue me. And then what else happened at the reunion? Oh, Joe and Schwartz. I was bored. I literally didn't even take notes on that. Like, we don't understand their relationship. We don't really know what happened. They're both refusing to talk about something that made Schwartz pull away. Joe is Joe, you know. Katie apologized, but also like held her fucking ground. I think she did a very good job of handling herself correctly. I mean, Katie and Ariana fucking win this reunion. And James, the three of them really crushed it because they just are able to confront things and admit to things and try to talk through things without like absolutely losing their damn fucking mind. So they win. They win for me this season. Then what else happened? Oh, the conversation about Ariana taking the dogs. Sandoval's such a dick, but I loved James Kennedy coming in and being like, you fucking loser, because you didn't give a fuck when it happened with Graham. Like, you didn't give a shit. You thought Rachel should take the dog. When I was there, when we bought the dog, I helped raise the dog. You didn't give a fuck, and you became his secret daddy. That was so good. It was so good. It was so good. It was so good. Obviously, it's great when James just like is able to read Sandoval to Phil. Like it's iconic. But it's great when he's actually making like a very good point and really pointing out Sandoval's hypocrisy. Like I love that. I wish he could do that with Lala. But him and Lala are friends, so like it's not really gonna happen. But just the hypocrisy of what he was saying and James really being able to call it out was beautiful. Beautiful. Stunning chef's fucking kiss. And I know that Ariana's probably super grateful for it all because there are certain things that, you know, she may not even realize because she's so deep into it. So yeah, I thought part 2 was good. I think part 3 will be better. I think we have this moment that we saw in the trailer where Sandoval is looking at Ariana, like really facing her. She's like, I just want you gone. Oh, listen, I will do anything to support that woman protecting her peace. Like, whatever that means, I'm co-signing. So Ariana, you just let us know what that looks like for you and how you can still like make money and do whatever you want to be doing. Like if you want to be on a show, like how can we get you on a show that we will watch? If you want to stay on Vanderpump Rules, like how do we get Sandoval off? Like I will do whatever you need. Okay? Anyways, that's just me. But we'll see what happens with part 3. We'll see what happens with the future Vanderpump Rules. Lala, is obviously trying to aim for the Valley, which like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I wouldn't mind to see her on that. If she fucking switches her font, if she switches the freaking pace that she's on, like go back to being normal. But doubt that will happen. Anyways, okay. Speaking of the Valley, great transition, might I just say? Let's just get straight into the good stuff. That conversation between the boys, I was shook. But also, specifically with Danny, he like has this moment where he's breaking down and he's emotional and he's saying how much he does for the kids and he puts every kid on the tit or whatever he was saying. To me, I would be shocked. I know we're not getting a reunion, which sucks, but I'd be shocked if he didn't like regret the way he handles himself in that conversation. Because to me, it came off like, when the girlies get too drunk during the day, they were at bottomless brunch, they've lost their marbles a little bit, and you get into like the Lana Del Rey sad rather than like the, I don't know, Cardi B sad. So they were in their Lana Del Rey emotions and crying over nothing because they had just been drinking all day. Because you could tell he was wasted. Like when he was trying to explain something to, I forgot who, but in the kitchen where Jason literally had to like take over and be like, I'll explain for you. You can tell he was wasted. And I think he's just feeling emotional. And obviously what he's going through is a lot. Like raising a child is very overwhelming. Raising 3 children, under 3, and 2 of them are twins. Like that sounds like fucking hell. And you can tell, we've all said it, he's a very involved father, which is, kudos. Not all guys are. And he's dealing with his wife who is experiencing postpartum depression, which is very difficult for her to deal with. And when it's your loved one dealing with it, it's very difficult. And also, it impacts the way people are showing up and with what attitude. So I'm sure he's going through a lot. But he was sounding a bit too much like a victim, I think, for all of us to feel comfortable. And also where he, I think, really lost the audience and the viewers was when he was like, women just like expect different things these days and don't get it and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, shut the fuck up. like, what are you doing? Yeah, now women actually have to give birth and go work. Like, yeah, welcome. And then get over yourself. Also, like, now you're experiencing what all women do, which is work and raise children. Like, the baby violin is playing, Like, come on, grow up. So that conversation was a lot. But I do love how dramatic these women are. Oh, did I just say these women? Sorry, I meant these men. And I did not do that on purpose, but kind of shady. And I do like it when men are vulnerable and in touch with their emotions. Like, I think it's great. Just these men are like dramatic, There's like, for example, Jesse and West on Summer House. Like, those are 2 men being in touch with their emotions and being vulnerable with each other. But like, not dramatic. These men are just dramatic. So let me clarify that real quick. I do not want to be putting men down. But these little bitches, they need to be checked. Also, I was dying. Jason is my favorite. Like, Jason is the funniest. The way he was like, this was supposed to be like a baby moon of like, be excited you're going to be a dad. And instead, like, FML. And also his face during the conversation was so funny. Like, he couldn't even control himself. I thought it was like pretty fucking hysterical. And he's really funny. Like, his confessional moments are funny. He brings that like realness to the show, which I appreciate, and like realness to the male dynamic, as we've already discussed. Like, they're dramatic, but he kind of like enables it, but also like checks it when it needs to be checked. I love that moment on the boat where he's like, that's not what a Napoleon complex means. And poor Danny was like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. He's like, no, it's not. Like, you can tell he's such a lawyer. Also, when Jax is like, well, your marriage is on the rocks too. And he just lawyered up and was like, too? That's implying that your marriage is also on the rocks. That was a fucking great shout out. Jason was really on his toes with that one. That was impressive. And then we'll get into the big, like, Jax and Brittany fight. Jax is a deplorable human being, and we've all known that. But, like, I'm really getting frustrated. Get me in that room and let me bitch him out. Let me make him feel the way he makes Brittany feel. Like, let me, you know? I would love to yell at him because he's such a fucking asshole. The way that he speaks to her in front of everyone, can you imagine what it's like behind closed doors? And the way he just, like, puts her down and has this idea of her that's so negative. It's like, why would you want to be married to someone like that? Like, it's just so confusing. And I'm so glad she left him. And I hope she divorces his ass and makes him fucking regret the day he ever yelled at her like that. I don't know what's going to happen between them. I don't think he has the awareness to know his part in anything. I don't think he will. But damn, do I want him to. Also, I was so ready for Janet to, like, eat him up for breakfast when they were, like, standing by the kitchen counter and he's like, are you about to tell me that I'm wrong? I don't want to hear it. And she's like, no, I'm about to tell you I think you should see a therapist. And that was very, like, adult and mature of them. I really wanted her to eat him up. But when he then said in his confessional, like, therapy has never, like, really worked for me. I'm like, that's not how that works. Like, you just didn't work for it. Like, you don't want to change. You don't see anything wrong in the way you maneuver through life. You don't see anything wrong in your communication skills. You don't see anything wrong. There was a point in the episode where he literally says, I know how I'm delivering things. I know what I'm saying in the moment. Like, he is very aware of what he's doing. So it's not therapy not working for him. It's you not wanting it to work. And I'm glad Brittany left his ass because you see in the episode him being like, she would never leave me and I will never leave her because he knows he could probably fucking cheat on her. Also, there was a moment, I mean, I don't even know if I want to get to the Michelle Jessie stuff because I think we all know, like, she's so done. So it's, like, silly. But the way he was, like, in that conversation, you know, we're talking about Michelle, where there's smoke, there's fire. And I'm like, Jax, maybe we shouldn't be using that terminology considering how much smoke there is around you, you know? Not the smartest, but that's Jax Taylor for you. Yeah, I'm really just, like, feel bad for Brittany. It's heartbreaking to watch. I'm glad she left him, and I'm wishing her all the best and sending her all the love and support. It must be so difficult to have a child with someone and then have these issues, you know? But at the end of the day, Jax needs to look in the fucking mirror, and I hope he watches the show and sees the way he speaks to her. And, like, that's not how you should be speaking to a woman or your partner in front of your child. So, you know, probably for the best that they're not in the same household right now. And then there's another moment in the boat that I loved between Jesse and Jax. And I think we can all agree that Jesse is an asshole. He's a piece of shit. But there's some moments where I go, oh, that was kind of funny. And also just, like, the way he reads Jax to Phil makes me go, I don't fully hate him. Like, he's such a dick to women. So, like, ugh, don't love that, obviously. But the way he reads Jax to Phil makes me go, that was lovely. So, yeah, that boat ride, he was just like, I think XYZ about you, blah, 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 blah. I think you're a victim, whatever he said. I don't remember. But I was just watching, like, damn, Jesse, eat him up. Eat him up. Danny was also like, okay, you're on the boat ride being like, okay, you said you were never going to leave your wife, but, like, what kind of life are you living? Like, what? You need quality as well. Like, this is insane. So I do appreciate, though, although they are very dramatic, that they don't really have a filter when they speak to each other about these things and they call each other out and hold each other accountable. But, you know, Jax pretending his marriage is fine is literally fucking crazy. Like, that's crazy talk. All right, now let's move on to Summer House. I thought this week was a fun and very entertaining episode. That party looked amazing. The decorations were super fun. The costumes were fun. I loved the party that they had for Jesse Solomon. I thought that was so sweet. Like, that was so cute. And it's nice when you're going through big moments in life and you actually have people, give you that recognition and that acknowledgement and the celebration. And it's nice, especially without you having to like ask. Obviously, it was a surprise party. So I thought that was really sweet. But, oh, I'm like being all over the place. But let me start with Danielle's event that she had for her app. I thought that was amazing. I think her app actually sounds very, very cool. But most importantly, I loved the moment she had where she gave recognition to her mom and then had that confessional moment where she was like crying about like the sacrifices her mom made for her and, moving from Puerto Rico to New York and just the sacrifices that she's had to make. It just like really touched me. Like, I feel like I could cry just saying it because it is a lot. And I know, okay, I might get in trouble for this because I'm about to make like an insane generalization, but sue me, okay? Now, I know people call Danielle a male apologist, and they say it often, but I feel like it makes sense a little bit when you remember she's like Puerto Rican and has a brother. Because in Hispanic culture, not everybody, okay? Don't come for me. The men just tend to get away with a lot more. And, especially with moms and sons, like they tend to, let their sons get away with murder, but the daughters are always in trouble about stuff. And it's so, like, sorry. But not that my mom did this, but just it's kind of in the environment. It's kind of in the air. And I'm not saying Danielle's mom was necessarily like that, but in Hispanic culture, being a male apologist, there's no like word for it. It's not what we call it, but it is kind of the way things run a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Because like I've had to come to terms with the fact that I might have male apologist tendencies. Okay. I hold my hands up and I admit it. I mean, the fact that I like Schwartz, you know what I mean? Like I have to look in the mirror a little bit. But I still love Katie. Okay. So I don't like hate women, but I sometimes maybe give men more of the benefit of the doubt than I should. And I think a lot of it maybe has to do with the Hispanic culture that we were raised in. And, even if you don't see it in your household, it's just like in the air. I could be alone there. But I would like to see what my fellow Hispanics say about that. I could be wrong. Don't murder me, okay? But I have to give my opinion, and that's currently where my opinion stands. Of like she might be a male apologist because she's fucking Puerto Rican and like grew up in a household with a brother, Like shit happens. Whatever. I don't know if that makes sense, but whatever. So I thought that was a beautiful moment. I appreciate that was shown. I think it's really important to see women being successful and being entrepreneurs. And, we see a lot about Loverboy, see a lot of the men doing stuff in their careers. It's really nice to see more of the women on the show doing stuff in their careers. So I very much appreciated that moment. And then, yeah, back to the Jesse stuff. I thought that was beautiful. I'm happy that he's cancer-free. That's such a big deal. Obviously they're filming a show, but it's so much bigger than that. So, sending him all the love. That's freaking amazing. And then what else happened in the episode? Well, you had the party. He had like the Carl and Lindsay stuff, which like, guys, this episode's going to be short because like I don't care enough to discuss it. I really don't. I know other people are like super fascinated by it. And like, I know people were like obviously team Carl once we saw the Lindsay fights that were happening in the beginning of the season. Now people are more on Lindsay's side. I'm like, first of all, these people should have never been together. They're both super wrong. They're 0% compatible. They do not speak the same language. So like every fight is stupid to me because I'm like, they shouldn't even be having discussions, really. They shouldn't talk about any important topic ever. So yeah, him talking about his job, I understand where he's coming from. By the way, I literally fast forward through those scenes. So like, I don't even know the Loverboy chat. Like I know there was a chat. I know there were some details discussed. I don't really know more than that. I probably should watch, but I don't have the energy. Okay. And I get him being like, I would just like support because I'm trying to figure this out and I'm trying to maneuver my way through it. So if you could just be like, hey, great, instead of always like questioning me, feels like you're coming at me. I do get him. But also, Lindsay questioning isn't a big deal. I think it's the way Lindsay does it. That is the problem. I think if they were just like, okay, like if she was more like, okay, that sounds great, sounds awesome. I definitely have some questions, but like, let's like do dinner this week and like discuss it a little bit more in more detail so we can make sure that like, you know, your job obviously impacts me. So I want to make sure we're both on the same page about things. You know, that's like would be probably better, but that also requires a sense of emotional maturity, which is not in the room. So that wasn't going to happen, but that's how it should happen between them. And then what else? So yeah, I'm like bored, but I cannot, when I tell you, cannot wait to watch him end things. And I'm going to feel so bad for her. And my heart is going to break for her. But my heart also breaks for him. Like, this cannot be easy at all. But damn it, the fact that we got that on camera is nuts. Like, that's fucking crazy. I did think it was really interesting this week when Paige was like, I know they're getting married soon, but like, I don't think they should be. It makes so much sense now that like, I remember when the news was announced that I think Kyle or someone on the Summer House show made a comment being like, yeah, when you watch it, like I don't think you're going to be surprised. Like you just have to watch the season because like none of us were that shocked. I think everyone was shocked that they went through with ending the engagement and not going through with the wedding, but definitely not that fucking shocking. They were 0% getting along. 0%. Like how the fuck can you marry someone when you literally can't even have a fun summer drinking and laughing with them? Like, no. But yeah, I think Kyle and Amanda were chill this episode. The Wes and Sierra stuff is chill. Not really much going on this episode. I think the finale will be good. I think the reunion is going to be amazing. And then I can't wait to find out what the future of Summer House looks like. Particularly, obviously, with Carl and Lindsay in mind. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. Summer House delivered a really great season. Very, very impressed by it. Let's hope they can keep it up for next summer. Hopefully, casting will continue to bring in good people like freaking Wes and Jesse. Let's hope. They need fun girls. You know, they need to bring like some different energy into that house because it's like too many people in relationships being boring. You know what they need to bring back in Summer House? They need to bring back people who just want to hook up for the sake of hooking up, that aren't hooking up to figure out if they're going to be in a relationship or not, who aren't like hooking up with their boyfriend of a couple of years, who aren't hooking up with their husband over a couple of years. Like, no, like silly people in their 20s who just want to have like makeout sessions or bang, whatever they want to do up to, you know, as long as two consenting adults do whatever you want. Like, bring that back where everyone's just being silly and messy and light and fun. Like, you know, I do have to watch Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I keep saying I'm going to watch it and I haven't gone to it because like every time I go on a flight, which I've been on a few, I have it downloaded to binge. Then I end up watching something else. So, but I also think I've seen stuff online where it's also like people are in like serious relationships on that show or like in marriages and stuff. Like, no, bring silliness back. Bring being slutty back to Summer House. Okay? Bring it back. Anyways. That's enough about Summer House. Let's go on to New Jersey. The season's gonna be heavy. Can we talk about the girls going to college made me literally sob? Just because like the fact that we've seen these girls grow up and like I don't think going to college is that big of a deal in the sense of like, you know, I mean life will definitely change forever, but like it's not that big a deal. Like welcome. But it's so cute seeing them grow up in front of our eyes. Like it's sweet. Sweet. Louis paying for the girls' college is very interesting to me. I don't know how I feel about that one. I don't know if I believe that one either. Also, just like their love bubble and they're this and they're that and their obsession with each other is just like, it's a little weird, quite honestly, because it doesn't feel real. And maybe it is, but like he just like gives me like I just don't get a single ounce of like genuine vibes from that man at all, really. So it's tough to watch them pretend to be in this genuine marriage. I think they very much perform for the cameras, which, by the way, I don't know if I necessarily judge, because if I was in a marriage with a family, I would be like, pretend you fucking love me, okay? We're not fighting on camera. But I don't know. It is what it is. Louis and Teresa will always be a topic of conversation. And then you have the stuff between Jennifer Aiden and Melissa, which I will never understand. These two people just like are not meant to be friends, not meant to get along. I don't know. I don't care. Like, I do love Joe and Bill. I love that. I love their friendship. I think it's sweet. It's like, I love that Joe called him to like invite him to his party. That was cute. And I respect Bill being like, unless my wife and your wife discuss things, like, I can't make it. But they're cute. They're cute together, those two. And yeah, I mean, we'll obviously see what happens between Jennifer and Melissa. I don't know if I have high hopes for it. But like, it's just like the dynamics are very weird on Jersey right now, and we're seeing a lot of switch ups happen. But it's odd. Like, it's not happening in a chill way. But this does happen every few seasons on a good Real Housewives show. So, you know, it was time. It was time. But the Jen Fessler of it all, I'm so on team Jen Fessler, because she is just like, I'm just getting along and being cordial, maybe a little bit more than cordial with someone. Why are you crying? You know what I mean? Like, why are you causing this show? Like, I'm not saying I'm best friends with her and tell her all your secrets. Like, literally just having chill conversations with her. And I think with Rachel Fuda crying and nothing she said really made sense. It's just like when it's your best friend, like getting along with someone else. It's like this and it feels this way. It was just like very dramatic, the whole thing. And not like a fun drama. Like, she's trying to make it a serious drama, and it's just not. And I really respect Jen Fessler being like, I'm not your fucking soldier. Like, if you don't think I'm a good friend, that's on you. That's not a me problem, because I'm being the best friend I could be. I'm just getting along with someone that you don't like. Like, that's weird. We're all adults here. And I love that her and Marge are having this issue, but it seems like Marge has said publicly that like they're still friends and they still get along. So I think that's great. And then you have like Jackie Goldschneider like trying to insert herself like pretty aggressively, I find. I know people are happy that Jackie is helping switch up the dynamics, but I think the way she's going about it is giving thirsty. It's giving too much, might I add. So I don't know how I'm feeling about it, but we'll have to see it play out. I do think there's going to be a big issue between Marge and Jackie this week. So that will be fun to watch. But a lot of emotional stuff, a lot of Joe Gorga stuff, a lot of Teresa stuff, a lot of the kid. And then this new changing dynamic slowly happening before our eyes. So not the worst episode I've seen. Thought it was good. I was entertained for sure. But I don't know how many opinions I needed to recap on it. So I feel like that's the end of the episode. Maybe I'll actually gonna go rogue right now and do a little Below Deck. Because we have the finale next week and it's gonna be fucking crazy. It's gonna be fucking crazy. And I don't think we're getting a reunion, which pisses me off. Like, make Below Deck reunions a freaking thing. We can do it online. You know what I mean? If it's like, make it a thing. I need to have these people discuss the drama that happened when like they didn't know what was happening. I don't know. But the one thing I will say is Ben has gone online and has trashed Captain Carey and has said, I will never work for that man ever again because of the way he talked to production and to the crew off camera, blah, blah, blah. Something about me like doesn't fully believe that, quite honestly. I think Carey's tough. I definitely think he's tough, but not like a dick. And there's a distinction to be made there. And I think Ben is just such a fame whore. I said it. And also like can be a little, I don't want to say, I think lazy is super the wrong word, but he thinks he's the captain of the boat. Like I remember there was a moment that happened this episode where they were dropping anchor and they dropped the anchor at the waterline instead of like a certain way. And Ben was like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't make that much of a difference. Like, in the grand scheme, like, it's fine. And Captain Carey's like, it does make a difference because the boat swings a certain way, XYZ. And it's just interesting that Ben is a new bosun. Like, he was not the bosun at the beginning of the season. I don't know if he was even qualified to be bosun. Is trying to make decisions on the boat as if he was a captain. I just think it's silly. There were moments where he was just complaining about, like, when you don't wash the jet skis coming in, like, that's super important. Like, they cannot be salty in there. You have to create a certain standard, you know? And you have to make things like patterns where it's like every time the jet skis or whatever they are, like, are coming in, you have to wash them down so that they're not salty. That's just what you do. And if you're not doing it, you're going to get in trouble for it. I don't think Carrie was like, you're horrible at your job and blah, 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 whatever it may be. But he just said, you got to make sure they're washed, dude. Like, that's unacceptable. Done. Walked away. And then Ben has this little hissy fit about it that really rubbed me the wrong way. Really, really rubbed me the wrong way. So, I'm not a fan of Ben's. Not a fan of Ben's. Don't like the way he's handling the situation with the girl. I just think he's been stirring the pot a lot this season. Not a fan. Also not a big fan of Barbie's. Her and Kyle are 0% compatible. And like the whole opposites attract thing, I'll co-sign any day of the week. But they're just not opposites. They just like, she's just gonna be a cloud that follows him everywhere and is telling him to not do things and not to be himself and not to be fun and not to be silly, and that's who he is. So yeah, don't think they last. I think you see it happen next episode where like she kind of loses it a little bit. And then Xandra, that's gonna be fun to watch that drama. Looking forward to it. Paris is a bit of an asshole with the chef stuff, but the chef also, like, we haven't really gotten to know him, so I don't even know if he's that good. I don't know. This season was very interesting. I loved Fraser as Chief Stew, though. Loved it. Also, like, the way he respects the vessel, the way he respects the captain, the relationship they have, the way he approaches crew, I like. I mean, he gets a little dramatic, but, like, we love. I think he's great with the guests. So, overall, a big fan. I thought the season was pretty good. We'll see the new Below Deck coming out with Captain Sandy and Aisha. That looks like it's going to be super dramatic. So looking forward to it, but also just like looking forward to the finale next week. It's going to be very good. So yeah, that was a little Rogue Below Deck recap. But thank you guys so much for joining me on this week's episode of That's My Opinion Pod. And I will see you guys next week.